This is Punch Drunk Philosophy.
What the fuck is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Punch Drunk Philosophy. I'm your host, Adam Reel, and joining me this week, even though we've done like 3-4 shows this week, so I should probably stop saying this week. Like, you know, today, this hour. I might even do one later. Who knows? We're rocking it. But yeah, pro fighter, all-round badass, great at picking fights. Mr. Max Cotton.
I had an off week last week, especially since I had Hendricks. I had a Hendricks wrestling Stephen Thompson to a decision.
I had him KOing him, so
I know.
we'll know how that
what
worked
round
out.
Did you pick?
Say again?
What round did you pick?
Second, I picked.
Yeah,
Both.
but still, I mean, you're one of a few people that saw that coming. To be honest, and I don't think Hendricks saw it coming at all. I don't know the guy, so I can't say. I can't say whether he took him lightly. I don't know how hard he trained or whatever. But I listened to your analysis of the fight, and I think it was pretty spot on. It was as much, if not more, of a case of what Stephen Thompson did well, rather than anything Hendricks did glaringly badly. He didn't go for a spinning back fist, and like fall over or anything like that. He didn't. He fought just like Johnny Hendricks, and Stephen Thompson was prepared for that. So, along that note, I think from looking at that, and I've just rewatched the fight again, you can't be too hard on Hendricks. As I said, he came across someone who put in a fantastic performance, but one of the vibes I got, and this is kind of reiterated by what he said in the post-fight interview, is that fights these days are as much about preparation in your fight camp as anything else. And Stephen Thompson's an incredibly difficult fighter, different fighter to prepare for. He's a very high level. He's a very high level karate fighter, amazing kicker. If you don't have anyone in there who's going to mimic his style, there's a good chance you're going to be caught with your pants down on fight night. And that looked like what happened to him. And the reason I think that as well is when he said in the press conference, and I know Johnny Hendricks has got a bit of a reputation for making excuses. I don't know how justified it is, but he's got that reputation, and I heard people picking him apart because he said, in my fight camp, I was sparring, and I was going after guys, and they were firing back, and this guy didn't fire back. He ran away, and he was moving. He said he was moving around. I just wanted to fight, and he wasn't firing back. He was moving, and fair play to him, and he was the better man. And so, what I took from that was I thought, well, why were your training partners firing back? Did your head coach or your partners, did they not watch any footage of who you're fighting? Why did guys just stand and brawl with him and trade with him when that wasn't going to prepare him for the fight he had? So there was no excuse for being completely surprised by your opponent's tactics if you haven't watched any tape on them. Stephen Thompson did what Stephen Thompson does, and Johnny Hendricks should have been more ready for that. So I think was the biggest error from what from looking at how he fought and listening to him in the post fight saying, "Oh, this guy didn't stand and trade with me." Well, you should have known that going into the fight.
I actually interpreted that statement at the press conference completely differently. I thought he meant because Thompson was obviously striking him. He was hitting him a lot.
Yeah.
I interpreted it more as like he was hitting him not at the times he was anticipating. Like there's sort of certain moments where you can see Hendricks is bracing for a shot, as in there's moments where that would be the obvious time to take a shot, and then he doesn't. And then there's times when he's like relaxed. Like if you've seen my breakdown video where I talk about when that first combo of the front side kick and then the head kick, Hendricks is sort of strolling back, and it's like a quaver on before a crotchet beat. He didn't expect the shot to be coming at that time. It was very kind of like off rhythm all the way through the fight. How would you have liked to see Hendricks like deal with that?
I think there's ways of going about it. I think, and no, I'm not saying I have all the answers. I'm definitely not saying I could have done a better job. But
Call him out. Call out Stephen Thompson now.
If I if we're playing the UFC game and I'm controlling Johnny Hendricks, and you're fighting a guy who is very light on his feet and hitting you from strange ranges, I think the worst thing you can do is, and I'm going to put inverted commas in my head, is walk them down like a fucking zombie. And he seemed like the more he got hit, the more he did this. He just thought, I'm Johnny Hendricks. He kind of looked like he thought, I'm not going to get knocked out here. I've just got to land that left hand or get that takedown. And it was not creative at all in any way. Just carried him, trudging him down. And they fight in such a big cage, but that is not against a fighter like that who is going to hit you with hard, accurate shots from the outside and not be there as you walk slowly towards him. It's not a game plan, and that's again where I think this fight was lost in training in the fight camp. I think it displayed not very good fight IQ, probably in the build up to the fight as well. Because if you're training the same way for Stephen Thompson as you did for Robbie Lawler and for GSP, and if you just train the same as you do for everyone, then you're going to be easy to prepare for, and that's what it looked like. So I think what I would have liked to have seen him do is, rather than just walking him down, would be closing distance intelligently. So 2 steps in, 1 step out. Fire something in and out, fire something, and then stepping just out of range. And you can do that. You can still walk him down doing that, but it's a much more intelligent way of walking someone down without getting hit back without getting hit as you're just marching into someone and then they're not there. I mean, if you look at someone who's really good at doing that, is Paul Daly. When you watch his fight, he can stalk people. He can even stalk wrestlers. He can walk them down, but he's not just standing in front of them. And he's not just walking in a straight line. He stands just outside, comes in, throws something, and then steps back about half the distance he originally jumped in. So he's still making ground, but he's not just standing in front of the guy getting hit. He's jumping in, jumps in, tags them. He did it beautifully in his last fight, and I think that's how you've got to fight against someone like Stephen Thompson. You can't just walk after them because you're just it's just a slow moving target for him to pick apart. He needed to be a bit more creative with how he was approaching him and how he was walking him down. Again, inverted commas. I don't know, and it just seemed like the more he got hit, the more he was falling into that trait of just walking after him. He didn't think, right, this isn't working. So that's what I think that fight was lost in preparation, to be honest.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, that's what really sold my bet and why I put money on Stephen Thompson by KO. Because Hendricks is working strongman training. He's working, trying not to die while cutting weight. That's when you're facing a striker of that caliber. He seemed like so underestimative. I said so I thought I might as well make it fit. But he was underestimating Stephen Thompson quite a lot. He was saying stuff like, "Oh yeah, he's just like Carlos Condit. I fought Carlos Condit, so I can fight any range striker." If you're fighting someone of that caliber of striking, you have to spend every day in the gym working on those technical advantages, working on that solid game plan. Not, I'm strong, that means I can beat this guy. This isn't a fight to be experimenting with your conditioning in. This is a fight you have to be very, very, very technically exactly. Prepared.
As a guy watching the fights, I'm allowed to underestimate Stephen Thompson. He's not allowed to.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, it was crazy, and I just, it's one of those things I was watching and I was thinking, what is going through your head right now? Is you're just walking after this guy who's tagging you. The thing you've got to do with a counter strike like that is you've got to make them come to you, even if it's a boring fight. If you just walk after them, you're doing exactly what they want you to do, and exactly what they prepared for you to do. He needed to change it up, and he needed to, if needs be, just stop in the cage, make Stephen Thompson come to him. Hit him when he's coming in, take him down when he's coming in, not just walk after him, trying to grab onto something or trying to land that left punch which Stephen Thompson's looking out for.
How would you have liked to have seen Hendricks work his wrestling? Because obviously that was his advantage coming into this fight.
I mean, Stephen Thompson again really impressed me with his cage work there. With benefit of hindsight being 20/20, because if you'd asked me before, I would have said that Hendricks needed to get him up against the cage and take him down. Then we're seeing how Stephen Thompson dealt with that, and I think future wrestlers will see that as well. Maybe that's not the answer, and maybe the answer would be more to try and hit single legs in the middle of the cage, because if you look at his wide open stance, if you can get a reaction out of Stephen Thompson or get him as he's coming in, he might be able to get that front leg, which in that karate stance where he's side on, you know, that might have been an option for him to get a single leg takedown in the middle of the cage. Might have had more luck there, because obviously Stephen Thompson can't use the cage to get back up. But that is you know, hindsight being 2020. I didn't think as I said, if I'd said before, I would have said take him down against the cage. But we saw how well Stephen Thompson did there. I think if he should have had to take him down on the inside of the cage off a single leg, of the middle of the cage on the single leg, and he might have been able to smother him a bit better.
Yeah, that would have been. Yeah, he seemed to back up quite willingly to the cage sometimes. Like, if he knew the sort of takedown was coming, he would go and set up there.
Yeah, he's a big guy as well, Stephen Thompson. He's a big 170. That's when I just watched the fight again, and I don't know how Hendricks weighs as much as he does. Because he doesn't look like he should. He's a guy who would struggle to cut to middleweight. He just doesn't look like it, and I don't get it. And he looked quite small compared to Stephen Thompson when he had him up against the cage there. I saw it in the screen grab as well. I just thought, you know, Stephen Thompson's a big guy. He's definitely not having problems with size in the division. And so.
Well, Hendricks is a guy who owns a steakhouse. He has a problem with being lean. Let's just say that.
Yeah, true. And I mean, I think as well. I mean, apart from which other wrestlers are there near the top of the pack at 170 who are better than Hendricks?
Well, I discussed this on the show with Ben. We were thinking Rory McDonald and Damian Maia pose the most stylistic threat to Stephen Thompson. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, but as wrestlers is what I'm saying is.
Yeah. As in takedowns, as in able to grab those single legs.
Yeah, I do agree with that to an extent. Yeah, to an extent. I still think Hendricks is probably a more accomplished wrestler in the traditional sense than either of them. I think he's probably a better wrestler, but he doesn't have the very striking that the guys have. Well, not Damian Maia, but McDonald has. So that's really all I've got to say on it. As I said, I don't think I could have done it better. I definitely didn't see it coming, but it seemed to me like it was poor preparation, and possibly even underestimating his opponent. But I wouldn't know because I didn't know the guy, but. That would just be purely speculative on my part.
No, I think it's well, we've got a lot of evidence that he was unprepared in his camp. I mean, we've got the Countdown show. He left Team Takedown. It would be interesting to see. He left Team Takedown. He's got his it's a strange thing. He's got his own thing going on, and also like his restaurant just closed. And
okay, is he got doing like a BJ Penn, Roy Nelson sort of thing?
Yeah, I think so. He sort of employed his own coaches and stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, it would be interesting to see what he does gym situation from here. I mean, if we see him out like, you know, one of the big gyms, like who knows where he could end up. But anyways, whilst I have you here, Junior Dos Santos, after his performance against Alistair Overeem, I think a lot of people did not want to see this guy in the cage ever again. And after such a big loss, he's being matched up with somebody who's coming off a really, really big win, Ben Rothwell.
Yeah.
What do you think of this booking?
I mean, with the Verdum, Miocic, Velasquez love triangle, it's already a complete fuck up at the top anyway, and that's going to take a little bit of time to iron out. So, and Rothwell with his current streak, quite rightly so, actually does deserve to be right up in there. So I guess they just thought this is the fight that makes sense. Overeem at the moment's in contract negotiations, isn't he? He's a free agent, is he not?
Overeem's a free agent, yeah.
Yeah, so he's in contract negotiations. So, and also Rothwell's already fought him, isn't he?
Knocked him out in the first round.
So exactly. It's a strange one. What do you do with Rothwell? He wants to stay active. He wants to fight, and he said he's not bothered about the belt at the moment. He said, I know it's a promo thing, but he said, I want to just run havoc, in the division and just fuck everyone up. So I guess he's happy with it, and that's what they did. Yeah, I don't want to see JDS fight again. It wouldn't surprise me, to be honest, if just because of the name value and people still don't take Rothwell particularly that seriously. To an extent, I wouldn't be surprised if JDS opens up as a betting favourite on that one.
That would be very beneficial. I'd put so much money on Rothwell on that
I
if he
think
is.
so. I just wouldn't be surprised. I looked for it straight away. It's not on Sky Bet yet. But I want to keep an eye open on the odds. I think there probably will be somewhere. I'd be interested to see how that's panned out because the name value of the JDS next champion, that sort of thing. He used to be such a dominant force. Anyway, so what do I think about it? I think it's bad news for Rothwell. I was so tempted when I saw he was going to be in Croatia to start looking at flights, but I can't justify it. To go to Croatia to watch a murder. But I just think it's a bad matchup for him. Rothwell's dangerous for anyone at the moment. I don't know how he's getting it done, but he's getting it done. And that's really all I can say about it. It's just I don't want to see JDS fight anymore. He's not looked the same the last couple of fights. Even his win against Miocic, it was a great fight, but he didn't look like the same guy as before.
And he took damage. He took so much damage.
He didn't used to. So I think he's taken a lot of shots in his career now, and I think for the sake of his own, for the rest of his life, it's better to hang it up now. Stop getting hit clean by heavyweights and explore his options outside the sport. I don't know. I know it sounds harsh to say that, but just don't want to see someone take that much damage anymore from the heavyweights and little gloves.
Yeah, big time. And we don't want people retiring from the sport with CTE and stuff. It's not a good thing. We want him to be healthy in his life and stuff. And yeah, I would much rather have seen Oleksiy Oleinik fight Ben Rothwell or Ruslan Magomedov. One of the rising Eastern European heavyweights. I think that would have made much more sense.
Yeah, I think so. I think so too. And I don't know if Rothwell just wanted the biggest name booking possible. You can't blame him for wanting that.
Yeah.
But he seems like a guy who's pretty happy to fight anyone. But if he doesn't want to wait around, do you think he should be? Do you think if he was to wait, he should be given the next title shot? Well, not next title shot because obviously they've got to sort out Miocic and Velasquez.
Well, I mean, ideally, I would have put Miocic versus Verdum and Rothwell versus Kane.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, but Kane, I'm doubting if he's ever going to come back ever because the accumulation of injuries and especially back. That's a lot. That's a lot to deal with. And he makes a lot of money. He can make a lot of money outside of the UFC. I mean, I think Kane is quite possibly going to retire for medical reasons.
Good. I think.
Well, we'll find out how his back surgery goes, but.
Yeah. I mean. Yeah. Exactly. And he didn't look the same against Verdum. I know that you could put it down to ring rust, but yeah, I don't know. I think I've been inclined to agree with you. I don't think he's coming back.
Tyron Woodley. Let's talk about the title picture at the welterweight division. Obviously, Stephen Thompson coming off that incredible win. Tyron Woodley has said he doesn't think Stephen Thompson has earned the shot. He isn't really that impressed with performance. Is this kind of stupid for Tyron Woodley to come out? Because he's come off a KO win over a spinning, reckless Dong Young Kim, and then a fairly underwhelming split decision over an overweight and sick Kelvin Gastelum. I don't think that is more impressive than a dominating obliteration KO win of the number 2 welterweight on the planet. What do you think about this?
Okay. What is... It's weird with Stephen Thompson, and I'm just on his shirt off now. But it's a weird feeling that, like, it does feel soon for him to get a title shot, but it also seems really right. Yeah. So I don't know how I explain that emotion, but it feels soon, but it also makes sense and it's the right thing. So I think it's because he put himself in the title picture so quickly with that knockout that he deserves to be there, but it's just a weird feeling of, because we've not been talking about him in the title picture for a little while, like we have with Condit, Brown, Woodley, all those guys who sort of perpetually hover around it. Hendricks, we always expect those guys to be one fight away from a title fight, and not many people were saying that about Stephen Thompson before.
Apart from me.
Apart from you, but we're saying he was one fight away from a title fight. It was almost saying, how long till Hendricks fights for a title again? because he's going to win this fight. So I think yes, I think it will. I think he deserves it. And he's he's an amazing fighter. So yeah, I think he definitely deserves it. I just want to, and I don't know how it would go down or who we. I have no idea how it would go down, but I don't think Woodley's comments are fair particularly. But that's his job, isn't it? His job is to keep himself near the front of the pack, and it wouldn't be the first time someone's been gazumped for a title shot or just someone's gone back on what they've said. So I think he's just trying to, pipe up and make sure he's considered. Would you be interested in seeing Woodley and Thompson fight?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I think that makes sense what to make. I kind of agree. It's sort of Thompson's contendership almost feels like if you remember Chris Weidman when he beat Mark Munoz. I think it was UFC on Fuel 4 or something like that.
I remember the elbow.
Yeah, he just sort of emerged and obliterated a contender, and then was in the number one contender spot.
Exactly.
But risen up very quickly. It's like, oh shit, where did this talented as fuck guy come from?
Yeah.
But yeah. I would like to see the Condit rematch for the title. Personally, that's my preference. I mean, I fucking hate rematches. I hate how many we've had and how many we've just like, oh, well, you have to because they were the champion. And
when was the last, I mean, how many, would you say in the last couple of years it's been probably 50-50 rematches and rematches as well, as well as original fights for titles? It can't be that far off. There's so many rematches.
I'm thinking, and a lot of the things is like the rematches are kind of beat downy as well. Like the Barao one, there was just no point in making that. With the Aldo one, I think there's no point in making that. With the Rousey one, I think, I think all of these are pretty bad. But the reason rematches exist are for fights like Condit versus Lawler. That's why we have rematches. That was close as fuck. Very controversial decision. Give it to him again, like Shogun Machida. That's what should happen. Stephen Thompson, he's come off a very, very, very impressive win. If you give him, because obviously they'd want the pay-per-views to sell really well. If you match him up with someone like Woodley, who's going to talk shit, and it'll be quite interesting to see Tyron Woodley talking shit on him and Stephen Thompson just greeting him in this super nice, friendly way. And
absolutely, So that's the only thing about Stephen Thompson, isn't it? He's not going to be giving a sort of soundbite every interview that you can write headlines off. But he's a talented fighter, and I would like to see that fight, and I think it makes sense. But then, but I agree. Do it exactly the same way. Condit rematch. Those two fight for the number one slot. And I think, as I said, Woodley's as surprised as anyone that Stephen Thompson's in the position he is. But if he's got a problem with it and he thinks he's the best, fight him, put him back in where you think he is in the line.
Bosh, agreed. Sort it out, UFC. That's what you have to do.
It wouldn't surprise me if they did it. And the only reason they might not do it if they do the Condit rematch is because Woodley might not want it. He didn't want to fight with Hector Lombard, did he? Because he felt it wasn't good for his stock at the time. He didn't say it wasn't good for his brand.
This is not talk that fans want to hear from fighters.
This is not good for my brand. It's like, what do you mean? You're a fighter. Your brand is fighting. Surely not fighting is way worse for your brand than fighting.
Precisely.
If it was a pacifist saying that, I'd be like, completely, I agree. But if it's someone who completely didn't agree with fighting and that was their brand, I'd agree. Fighting someone wouldn't be good for your brand. But as a fighter, fighting's usually pretty good for your brand.
Tyron Woodley has not figured a lot of that stuff out. And also I think he just overrates himself quite a bit. I mean, I like him. I think he's good. But he lost to Jake Shields. He got destroyed by Rory McDonald.
Him against Rory McDonald was weird, wasn't it? It was such a weird fight.
Yeah.
Just backed up and just circled with his back to the cage for.
Well, that's the thing. If you look at what Tyron Woodley does, he does quite a lot. He does this in all fights. He backs up to the cage and he uses that to set up a takedown. As in, he would get a fighter to think, okay, their back is against the cage, I'm going to launch forward. And with their momentum when they launch forward, he sets up a takedown with it. After a while, I think, Tarek Safadine, he was able to get the underhook in quite a few times and anticipate this because it's behavior that coaches would spot in Woodley. And then he started adding on to his game that he did masterfully against Koscheck, is make them anticipate, like, okay, he's going up, he's getting his back to the cage. He's going for a takedown. They anticipate the takedown. They drop their hand forward to get an underhook, and then he punches them in the face.
Yeah.
That's why he kind of backs up against the cage. And obviously Firas Zahabi, an excellent game planner, figured out sort of perfectly how to neutralize Woodley against the cage. I don't think he just sort of backed up to the cage because, like, scared, neutralized, cut off the cage. That's part of his game plan, but Rory McDonald was just so well prepared for it.
Yeah, but that's it again. And again, where another example where preparation is so key. You can't just go in there and do the same. At that level, you can't just go in there and treat everyone as the same. That kind of reinforced our earlier point. Preparation is such a big thing at this level.
Yeah, 100%. Well, also, I hope we see these fights. Yeah?
Yeah, as I was saying, also kind of I appreciate why fighters don't want to take fights, even champions, on 4 or 5 days, 2 weeks notice against a different guy than what they've prepared for, because, it's intelligent. Like when even John Jones not fighting Chael Sonnen, I know it's Chael Sonnen, and he should beat him 99 times out of 100, but it's a different style to what you've prepared for.
Not really. Dan Henderson, wrestler. It's a worse Dan Henderson.
It's a worse Dan Henderson. Yeah. I don't know, but it's just I could appreciate it in the Verdum situation. He shouldn't have used the toe excuse. He should have said, "I'm well enough to fight Kane. I'm not well enough to fight Miocic." That was weird. That's a different story altogether. Completely different tangent. But I can see why an intelligent fighter who game plans and who has a team who does that doesn't want to just get in there and scrap with anyone and change your opponent last minute, especially if you built a game plan around someone. It's how he beat Kane the first time. His game planning.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, it's a case-by-case basis. I mean, I find Verdum's excuse very fine. I mean, it's perfectly acceptable, especially like he's this late in his career at the top level. He's only got a limited amount of time left to make sort of as much money and leave his legacy on the sport. Woodley, though, who's rising in contendership, and he's offered a fight with someone who's ranked quite a bit lower than him.
Yeah.
Take the fucking fight, Woodley.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, guys, that is our show, Punch Drunk Philosophy. I don't know, I probably should put episode names on these or label them or whatever, get some kind of order going, but it's fine, it's doing what it is. Talk about fighting for a bit, Anything you want to plug before we get off here?
Not yet. Soon I'll be launching 100% MMA. So watch that space. That's going to be coming in the next few months, and I'll have more to talk about that soon.
What's your Twitter handle?
I haven't got one yet, mate.
What's your normal one?
Oh, my normal one is Max Cotter 1988. So you'll find me on there under that, and just watch that space. But I'll be setting up a business one as well, and a Facebook like page and a website and all these things. So when I get the time, it's been pretty busy recently.
Is it called a handle, Twitter?
Yep, it's called a handle.
I know nothing about Twitter. I just felt I should ask you because that's what people do. At the end of all MMA journalist shows, they ask, "What's your Twitter handle?" And all that stuff.
Yeah, it's Max Cotter 1988.
Cool. And at PD Philosophy, guys, is ours. Nice.
Awesome.
All right, guys, we're going to get out of here. That was our show. Peace the fuck out.